Our next guest is someone we try to bring on at least a couple of times a year. He's not a fortune teller, not a psychic, but his history of predictions has been startlingly accurate. He takes a look at trends, what's going on in the world, what's going on in politics, what's going on in crimes and education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and then figures out what's going to happen. And we're lucky to bring him in right now. Gerald Celente is the publisher of the TrendsResearchInstitute. Always a pleasure to hear from you, Mr. Celente.
Well, thanks for having me on, Manny.
Now, I'm looking at what I think is a preview of 2013 from the TrendsJournal, and I'm a little bit confused because there's almost some positive things being predicted here for the next year.
Well, yes, it's that saying, sometimes you have to hit bottom before you start coming back up.
Have we hit bottom?
Yeah, no, not yet, but the bottom's coming soon.
Right.
And when you think about it, the Renaissance happened after the Black Plague in Europe. I mean, 60% they estimate of Europe was wiped out, and then they had a rebirth, a rediscovery. Alla Romana e alla Antica, they said, at the height of the Renaissance in Florence, in the manner of the Romans and the ancients. So we think this is going to be the beginning of a Renaissance as things really start getting a lot worse and people realize that what they're doing isn't very satisfying to their well-being. And so we believe there's going to be a very big change coming about.
Well, let's start talking different areas of your trends. A lot of us very concerned about the fiscal cliff. There are predictions that if our politicians can't come to an agreement and we do go off the cliff, we could be facing another recession, or even worse if you look at the global economy. What do you foresee for the next year?
Well, again, you think about what you could name me one thing that any politician in Washington has done that has brought peace or prosperity, whether it's the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, whether it's health care, whether it's education. You name it, they fail at it. War on drugs. So, no, they're going to come up with a two-bit program that won't do anything to solve the big problems. So it's going to get worse economically. And that's why we're also looking at bonds away. We're saying that this bond bubble is going to burst, and it may well happen this year. So as I said, things are going to get a lot worse in some areas, and then we're going to start seeing some improvements.
Yeah, one of the areas you appear to think there may be some improvement, at least in the long term, in terms of world, well, I'm not going to say world peace, but in terms of peace, we've got still war going on in Afghanistan, still obviously troops in Iraq, despite the fact the war has officially ended. Tensions very high in the Middle East. I don't know if they've ever been higher there. Pakistan and India, North Korea, lots of areas of concern, but you think that there might be a peaceful future when it comes to war.
We think there's going to be huge peace movements, but very different than the ones we saw in the past, whether the 60s or later or before. When you go back to the old days and talking about a Renaissance, when there was William the Conqueror and Alexander the Great and Attila the Hun and Napoleon and on, these guys were the real commanders-in-chief. They led the battle. We're going to start seeing calls from people for the commanders-in-chiefs, the presidents and the prime ministers who say, this guy got to go or this one's time is up, to go take him out. People are going to demand that the world leaders fight it out between themselves and not get the civilians involved. And we're going to see, this is serious. It's starting to, you think about it. Assad has to go. Well, go take him out.
Yeah.
If you're going to call him out, take him out, or get out. So we're going to start seeing more and more demands from people for world leaders to duke it out between themselves and keep the people out of it. It's going to be a huge movement.
One of the things that you predicted quite accurately, among the ones you were very accurate about a year ago when you joined us right around this same day, was that there would be an increase in people in this country talking about secession from the Union. And we've seen, I think officially, there's been a little bit over half the states have now filed petitions with the White House wanting secession. Now, I think it's kind of, a joke and things like that, but that's how strong people feel. And you predicted it a year ago.
Yes, it was one of our trends, secession obsession, and this year is going to be secession progression. And it's not only in the U.S. In Catalonia in Spain, they're having a vote now for secessionism. In Scotland, it's secessionism. In Italy, movements for secessionism. It's happening all over the world. It's happening in the United States, and these aren't like, these right-wing fringe movements. There's one, for example, that was started by Thomas Naylor, may his soul rest in peace, a wonderful guy up in Vermont. He just passed away. He was a professor emeritus at Duke University. A pacifist, if anything. And we're going to start seeing more and more people. You started this with the fiscal cliff. Look at how people look at Washington. Look at the ratings of congressmen and senators. They're at all-time lows. It's too big to govern. It's not only it's too big to fail, this is too big to operate. It's just like the former Soviet Union. When all the power was in the Kremlin, it started to dissolve. The same thing is going to happen in the United States.
I don't know why every time we talk to you, as soon as we're done with the conversation, I feel like going out and having a drink. Nothing, I don't know. I mean, I started out feeling pretty good. Okay, there's going to be peace movements going around the world, and citizens are going to start taking control of their futures, and then you leave us with that. Government has become too big.
It is good news.
Yeah, no, there's more good news in there than we usually get from you. The website is TrendsJournal.com. You can sign up for his newsletter there and check out some of the videos. Always a pleasure speaking to you, Gerald Celente with the Trends Research Institute.
Thank you.